welcome to PWCI this week. Today's episode is another news and commentary program as the information continues to roll in, and I have to lead off with some unresolved problems. Opinions were divided on episode 125, dubbed the Crimey factor, and since Tucker Carlson has been rubbing off on me lately, I'll dub this the Tucker Crimey Tonight episode. So let's start with the comment that I buried Rampage, and that's not a good thing. The real point of my editorial comment about Rampage was to give them a major wake-up call. I speak from a well-educated perspective in describing what is very likely to happen on the current trajectory if they don't make media changes. The question is, have they woken up and gotten out of bed, or have they hit the snooze button and went back to sleep? I warned against putting on a substandard performance level of wrestling that might pop up on an episode of World Famous Flea Market or Butthurt Trashbackers Network. Well, several of their matches and promos did indeed show up on Butthurt Trashbacker Network over the past few weeks. And predictably, the people involved in the matches, Dick Brody and Douglas O'Shea, plus one of the Root brothers, ran in to defend themselves and make violent threats against the page owners of BTN and anyone else who chimed in with criticism. Isn't that classy? Why that didn't get them put in Facebook jail is beyond me, as that is a violation of Facebook policy. Of course, several of the critics were actual accomplished wrestlers who were actually well-trained and been somewhere. But they blew all that off, falling back on, we've done this for 20 years. However, doing something for a very long time is not at all an indication of skill or performance level. You can do something for years, but never truly become a master of it. The individuals in question, in acting the way that they have, did nothing but display an extreme level of reality denial and severe delusions in the process of arrogantly stroking their massive egos as they mark out for themselves as legends in their own mind. Now, months ago, I recorded this unaired editorial comment. From time to time, I need to call someone out for bizarre conduct in the local wrestling scene. This man has been featured numerous times on World Famous Flea Market and Trashback Wrestlers, but insists the criticism of his appearance and the ring work are completely wrong, and he's World Wrestling Entertainment caliber. I'm talking about Douglas O'Shea. Very long arguments of hundreds of comments would ensue on YouTube and Facebook every time he's featured. He wrestles currently for just one promotion, Rampage Championship Wrestling, and nowhere else, as other promoters and locker rooms want nothing at all to do with him. It's so bad that he once won the Trashbag Wrestlers Most Butthurt Award. From what I've seen on online videos, the criticism is spot on. His ring work is sloppy, mechanics are poor, he's lost numerous comparison matches to other wrestlers in the area, and plus there's been questions about his overall health, as he previously told me on a phone call that he had 6 prior strokes. Maybe that's the reason why he's refusing to get the hint. All those strokes attack your brain. Why does he insist on continuing to wrestle at age 44 with all these health problems? How does he even get cleared to wrestle? It is a complete mystery. But he needs to hang up the boots and just walk away, because everybody else wants him gone as it is. If you want to experience the dumpster fire that is Douglas O'Shea, a podcast from 2013 has reemerged called In the Rotation, hosted by Ben Jordan and Vito Tomaselli, where they interviewed O'Shea, who appeared incoherent and completely lost throughout. If you don't remember Vito Tomaselli, he played a significant role in building the Chicago wrestling scene during the 2000s and went around the country on the independent scene. You can find it at onegimmickworld.podbean.com. Whoever attended, filmed, and submitted the videos to BTN demonstrate that I am not the only one who's sick of bad wrestling by people who don't look like they belong in the ring. Fans are far smarter than wrestlers and promoters are willing to give them credit for, and they can fully think for themselves. Since Rampage has shown in response to the criticism they don't care what anyone thinks, unless you're heaping praise upon them, and why should they? They're selling more tickets than everyone else. The only thing that will get their attention is more fans dressed as empty chairs. Now, someone has gotten into the year of RCW, so we shall see if they're going to change course and make some much needed changes shortly. Also, a couple of members of the roster, Chaos and Chris Riot, in sharp contrast to O'Shea and Brody, are embracing the attention from BTN instead of shunning it. Folks should learn from their example. On a secondary topic, we're asked on whether we had any proof on the issues with the Beast. What we have is the victim's public statement and some witnesses named that were directly involved. As we stated, these are allegations and no charges have ever been filed. As the Me Too movement repeatedly advocated, the victim should be given the chance to be believed. However, the accused party has the right to due process as well. Right now, it is up to James Aarons, the accuser, to make a move on holding the person who he says assaulted him accountable by going to the authorities and pressing charges before May 2019, when the statute of limitations expire. If the accused did not do what he is said to have done, he can do exactly what Michael Elgin did: sue his accuser. I have merely reported on what has been put out in the public square. Now the Beast, Herbert Stinson Jr., did respond with the comment, "It's full BS jokes, just trying to get internet numbers up. Misery loves company." Misery loves company? I prefer to be content, in good spirits, and comfortable whenever and wherever I am and go. People who inflict misery on other people, I don't want to be in the company of. Period. I don't consider this any kind of a joke, especially someone who does work for law enforcement and has been following so many of these cases for months due to the volume of media attention given. Now, do I like reporting on these stories? I have not taken much pleasure in it. In years past, I've had to cover some pretty bad stuff, such as the Sam Shelton Ashley Reeves case, the future Donovan Ruddock, Buck Zumhoff, to name a few. And I've met and knew these folks. It royally is awful. People are making bad life choices and someone has to hold them accountable. It doesn't have to be me, but someone has to. In the case of Mo Elgin, and we have more developments on that caper to share later in the program, the reporting by the press has not been even-handed and ignored information discovered over the past few months that seem to favor Elgin. We seem to be the only outlet reporting what is going on. We have to. Because these wrestling journalists who have come down hard on Elgin will not willingly come out and admit, despite demands to do so, being wrong on anything they have posted on this case. Why would they? These guys won't capitulate and make any sort of retraction out of sheer self-guilt that they would betray the movement in achieving a so-called greater good, and sacrificing a few innocent people is worth the price. Because they won't make retractions, the picture Molly Woodward painted, where Elgin is seen as an abuser, persists among many. Yet there are women who make false accusations. Most recently, Nikki Jovino of New York pled guilty to evidence tampering and falsely reporting rape allegations against 2 football players. The false allegations cost them their college education experience and scholarships, probably their football career as well. They're considering a civil suit after she serves a year-long jail sentence. Of course, the situation wouldn't have happened if all parties did not engage in adultery outside of marriage in the first place. And on the flip side, there are many who have sought justice for years against those who have harmed them, but for one reason or another, could not secure it and may never. Recently convicted Bill Cosby might never have been taken to court if not for the Me Too movement, reshining the light against suspected abusers. Justice is still being sought against Harvey Weinstein. Now several are accusing Morgan Freeman. There's those who are still protesting against Michael Elgin getting booked, even though the facts show that he's getting blamed for far more than he actually deserves. And other folks who have been known to be registered sex offenders have protested when they are found to be booked. There are fans who do not want to be around those who are accused or convicted of horrible things. They want to know if they are there before going in because they don't feel comfortable being in the same room with them. This is not what I desire 2018 to be remembered for in the St. Louis wrestling scene. Unfortunately, there are more shoes to drop in the coming months. That includes 2 criminal trials coming up this summer involving former wrestlers. And I'll have to be back here, much to my dismay, having to report on these as well. Sweeping things under the rug isn't exactly a solution. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Coming up, another update in the Mo Elgin scandal, what the wrestling media won't tell you. Be right back. This is PWCI This Week.
Professional wrestling, entertaining action that attracts a crowd and provides excitement at a fair or festival. The right promotion will have professionally trained talent with professional grade ring gear and equipment. Fairgoers will want to see more of them and attend ticketed events in the area. Bring in the wrong promotion, not vetting their credentials, you could wind up with an embarrassing disaster. The talent may have no ring gear, little or no professional training, aren't family friendly, and perform so poorly you wish they'd return to the backyard they came from. Burned organizers won't chance bringing in pro wrestling ever again, shutting out legitimate promoters. And the fairgoers, if they want to see professional wrestling, will only go to WWE events. If you want live professional wrestling at your fair festival, don't get burned. Check the credentials before you book. A public service announcement from the St. Louis wrestling community. Visit our website, stlwrestling.livejournal.com.
Now we have another update on the Mo Elgin saga, and hopefully the last one for a while, as the parties have been investigating, have shifted to examining another suspected scam. The latest is that Molly Woodward for a time disabled her public Twitter account, but turned it back on last Friday. Michael Elgin, in the meantime, won the New Japan Pro Wrestling Openweight Championship. On the other side of the Pacific, he also has been announced for Rockstar Pro Wrestling. We mentioned earlier, because of the media coverage being uneven, public perception persists that Elgin deserves the criticism he is getting. Here's some examples of people spouting off on Twitter who have no clue whatsoever of the information previously uncovered. Death by Susie writes a reminder that Elgin is suing a woman for sharing his abusive correspondence with the world on the basis that he allegedly lost earnings because of it. The same man who just wrestled in front of 12,000 people. Lisa Smith at Ms. Fitz Promo writes, "It really amazes me that he is still getting booked for anything." Januske Nakamura at Jin Mint wrote, "In case y'all forgot, Michael Elgin is trash." So this is what Elgin has been put up against and why I've continued to put out what has been uncovered the past few months. Woodward has been facing mounting criticism for allegedly not using $3,000 raised in a GoFundMe campaign she says was designated for legal services. She is still representing herself pro se. Now, there's been questions as to how long after receiving the funds that is used for the intended purpose, though GoFundMe doesn't set a time limit. 3 months have elapsed thus far. Woodward claims she does have a lawyer, yet none has been listed on case.net, that is the Missouri court website. A call has been put into Elgin's lawyer, Steven Kratzy's office, to find out if she actually does have legal representation. Well, I finished this video to send to the studio early Monday morning, and this news drops at the same time, to which Access 4 viewers will not be seeing this addition to the program that I felt needed to go in pronto. Steven Kratzy, who is the lawyer for Michael Elgin, did respond to an inquiry from a Twitter user by the name of Melinda Blue about the case and whether he has communicated with Mo's legal representation. We shall summarize what was said, but the full questions and answers are available on DramaLawandTruth.com. Kratzy was asked if Woodward has retained legal representation. Kratzy says he does not know whether or not she does, but was contacted by an individual who identified herself as a mediator and a friend of Mo's mother. The individual stated she is not a lawyer, and due to that, Mr. Kratzy wants express written authorization from Ms. Woodward for the mediator to act as her agent before he can communicate with her any further about the case. He has only had written communications with Ms. Woodward through postal correspondence. On the question of participation in discovery by the court as to whether Ms. Woodward met the deadline of May 29th, Mr. Kratzy states she did not meet the deadline and showed up unannounced to the courthouse to ask for an extension, which was granted. Woodward claimed when she went over there that it was for a hearing and Elgin didn't show up and his lawyer didn't know where he was. Kratzy denies it was a hearing, thus there was no requirement to do anything. As we monitored the Missouri court's website, there's yet to be a hearing of any kind on this case. Kratzy also shut down the claim as false. He didn't know where Elgin was and only got notification of Woodward's filing via electronic notice. Kratzy acknowledged sending correspondence offering Ms. Woodward the concept of settlement, but there's been no response received. Those communications were attached as an exhibit in opposing the request for time extension and discovery. Because Ms. Woodward has not been using a lawyer, the legal errors she has made due to not having a good understanding of how the civil system works are piling up. I do wish to respond to a ridiculous Twitter statement by someone calling himself Calobro at JimmyFingers84. prove she didn't put $1 in any lawyer's pocket? Should it be on the site? Probably. Does it have to be? I don't think so. Let's see if they ever get their day in court, who's standing next to her, and what the person is identified as. You are ignorant, sir. Whether Molly ever put $1 in any lawyer's pocket is irrelevant. As it stands, she has no official legal representation now. Whoever Mo's mystery liaison is doesn't seem to know what they're doing. Yes, this person may show up in court claiming to be Mo's legal rep, but may not have a law license and could be disqualified from working the case by the judge. GoFundMe policy states the user is to agree not to use the services for campaigns to support the legal defense of alleged crimes associated with hate, violence, harassment, bullying, discrimination, terrorism, or intolerance. She has filed for a 30-day extension to respond to Elgin's legal team for production on a couple of exhibits. We believe it has something to do with her two Twitter accounts. Elgin's lawyer made suggestions in opposition to the extra time, but also submitted a subpoena to Twitter itself on Friday. Woodward has applied and was approved for disability housing, as Woodward has had no employment for a couple of years. However, Woodward was questioned about selling access to an Instagram account full of nude pictures of her and failing to report that as income. She states now that she has not sold access for months. Social Security claimants are considered ineligible for benefits if their resources exceed $2,000 if single or $3,000 if married. We are doubtful the amount of money earned from selling access exceeds the low 3 digits, and it's merely walking around cash. An anonymous person contacted Law and Truth to say that he contracted chlamydia. Yeah, if that's even the correct way to pronounce it. Chlamydia, I don't know. It's a sexually transmitted bacterial infection that causes a burning sensation or discharge when urinating or pain and swelling in the testicles. In women, if left untreated, can spread to the upper genital tract, causing pelvic inflammatory disease, which may result in future infertility or ectopic pregnancy. Woodward denies having an infection, but stated over her lifetime she's had 150 different sexual partners. We would recommend anyone who has had sexual contact with her to get tested. Woodward has latched onto a bizarre defense where she claimed everyone's lying and her critics were manufacturing screenshots of conversations and statements from her. Something like the Bill and Hillary Clinton's legal strategy. Previously, she latched onto a Bustle article about having fantasies about rape or sexual violence, as if she floated using that as a defense to explain the contradictions in public statements, where she could claim she was expressing in words her fantasies, but is too late to use it given statements made in a lawsuit response and what we know. An online petition was started where it calls for the outright ban of Molly Woodward from all wrestling shows to keep a wholesome family atmosphere in which wrestling fans can feel comfortable. Only 150 have signed thus far. In a worrisome development, Woodward contacted Cody Rhodes, complaining about working with New Japan Pro Wrestling alongside Michael Elgin. Several people immediately warned Rhodes and his wife, Brandy, not to have contact with her. Elgin is not booked for All In. Cody Rhodes states he is not up to speed on this whole Mo Elgin situation. On a couple of side notes, Larry Dallas, who was fired from Major League Wrestling, scolded the organization, and particularly Court Bauer, once again, after he announced that they had signed Rich Swann. Rich Swann, of course, was accused of a domestic violence incident against his wife, Sue Young. Charges were never filed in that case, and they have since reconciled. Both of them are now working for Impact Wrestling. Dallas referred to Molly Woodward as a con artist in a podcast in which she and her followers protested the organization, demanding action be taken against him. Dallas has been fighting for friends to get second chances, and how accusations and Twitter is BS. On his way out the door, former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens signed a revenge porn law where it is a felony for someone to threaten the non-consensual dissemination of a private sexual image by coercing another person to refrain from an action. Greitens was forced out of office for the same allegation made by a woman of whom he had an affair with. Woodward herself has complained about her nude photos being passed around and praised the signing of this law. So that is all the new developments on this matter. We are going to continue following this case until its very end. I will tell you now, we are going back to wrestling action next week on the program, as these newsy episodes just take too much of my free time, and frankly, I need to turn my attention to other matters. So next week, we will be featuring matches from Wrestling for the Cure in the countdown to July 7th for the second annual event. Until next time, this is the Mad Conservative Crime Fighter saying the spin is making me dizzy. Be sure to follow us if you're watching this on YouTube by subscribing to our channel. You can get to our website or our YouTube channel by following the link tiny.cc/PWCI.